Welcome to the ARC Advisory Group podcast on the subject of mid-tier ERP systems. My name is Dick Hill. I'm a vice president here at ARC. I'm here today with Ed O'Brien, research director for ARC. Ed, do you have any opening comments before we begin?
Well, thank you, Dick. Yes, the exciting times and also challenging times, particularly in ERP. The changes that are going on because of digital transformation, because of IoT, industrial IoT, have been before us for a number of years. But there's an acceleration in the need for extended capabilities in ERP, and this is also transcending into the mid-tier market as well. So we want to share some thoughts of some of the research we're doing, including a study on this topic, because as we end up going in this direction, there's some great opportunities, and also a lot of companies are looking for new solutions because of the fact of cloud deployment. So a lot of companies are deciding whether to look at new systems. So I think the timing is right.
So Ed, ERP systems have been around for a long time, for many years. So what is changing in the market?
Sure. In addition to the probably overused digital transformation comment, but it's a very apt phrase. The systems themselves are much more complex than ever, and the need for interoperability, the need for predictive capabilities, the need to work not only at a corporate level but at a plant level are extremely important. And a lot of this is because of customers' expectations are high, but also customers' expectations are high. So the expectations are that the systems in some ways have to get more toward more real time, but also to a predictive phase, something that has we've been aspiring to, but now the technology is allowing that to occur as well. Also, the customers and customers, and especially in the mid-tier space, in mid-tier can be up to $1 billion or even perhaps higher. There is the issue of faster production, increased product quality being expected, and those aren't mutually exclusive. So the ERP systems that were built a decade ago or even a half a decade ago may not have all the capabilities, and we're also seeing some early in some of our early research that there's sometimes a confusion between ERP and some of the capabilities in MES and some of the capabilities in PLM, and a lot of the ERP systems are including those capabilities and vice versa. And the reliability and asset management as well are kind of converging at the same time. Going back, the thought was one size fits all, and some customization can be done within ERP systems. And while that worked, it didn't necessarily work in real time. And so that's not a viable strategy anymore for many manufacturers. And they're looking at what they could do more efficiently and more effectively. And many times these are now really hitting overdrive in discrete manufacturing companies, because a lot of them are needing to meet specific production requirements and are in individual plants as opposed to being in an enterprise level system. But yet sometimes those systems only need to be enterprise level when you're looking at HR and financials and others. The other issue that's occurring is upgrades and customizations that can take months and sometimes years are just not something that's available to any company that wants to be productive and profitable. If you have too many customizations, too much time, you're pretty much losing money overall. So they need to look at systems that can allow them to tweak functionality, but also allow value at any time. And this competition coming from all directions. You've got not only supplier competitors, you've got end users have competitors, and you also have such things as tariffs, such things as macro and microeconomic issues that are occurring all the while. And so there needs to be much more efficiency and effectiveness than even was available a couple of years ago. And many large distributed enterprises are increasingly adopting two-tier systems. They're actively consciously looking at a strategy where the parent organization may have financials, HR, CRM, as we mentioned, but the plants need to have very specific functionality and oftentimes vertical functionality to be able to meet these goals that we've been discussing. And having a two-tier strategy is ideal from a mid-tier ERP supplier, and it's something that companies are looking at. That it's not that you have to go with the enterprise ERP system only. It's not that you have to go with the plant level ERP system, but there is a hybrid model that's emerging and expanding. And the plant level, in some cases, are very specific products that are being produced, quality metrics, etc. The industrial organizations are seeking industry-specific capabilities that can only be done at a plant level in some cases.
Well, thanks, Ed. Perhaps you can elaborate on what's the reason for the increased interest in mid-tier systems recently?
Sure thing, Dick. In addition to the fact of having to have something more customized, but not customizable, tailorable, but not necessarily customized systems. For example, in a tier one ERP strategy, as mentioned before, that something could take months and sometimes years to customize. The need to really make something work immediately within the same quarter, within perhaps weeks in some cases, and in the case where there might be cloud deployment options, ongoing upgrades that occur. So you're always working with the latest product and not necessarily looking at a software solution that's maybe 3 or 4 years old as far as the main functionality. They have to be mission critical. They have to be focused on what the mission is of that plant or multiple plants. So there's a large and growing need to have the specific functionality that's needed. There's also an issue of being able to have control over your own organization, your own plant, for example. That you can install what you want when you want it. You don't have to install a truly tier one enterprise level multi-year implementation that means the plant doesn't get their what they need till 3-4 years down the road. The ability to be nimble, to be flexible, is critical at the plant level. That's driving in mid-tier sales as well, and demand as well. And also looking at this industry-specific functionality, this vertical functionality is critical, particularly because there's also in many cases, in some cases, it's in smaller manufacturers, maybe tier 2, tier 3 discrete manufacturers, although it can happen in process manufacturing as well. But also in pharmaceuticals and biotech and other similar industries, there's a growing need to compartmentalize their systems. And because of merger and acquisition activity, because of purchases by hedge funds and PE funds, in many cases, some of these industries, they may want to have an exit strategy 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road. They often do want an exit strategy to be able to have self-contained systems that can then be sold off, merged, as opposed to having to decouple an enterprise, tier one enterprise system, is something we're seeing in our research as being a driver for looking for these new systems as well. So that's kind of a side comment, but it's something we're seeing is more important to many companies as well. And in some cases, the primary benefits across these add these areas of flexibility, lower cost of ownership, et cetera, because quite frankly, they are oftentimes now have at least some functionality in a cloud configuration, and in some cases they're using hybrid of having the two-tier strategy where there may be the local production requirements are high, are very complex, but they can also tie into other systems. So the ability to have your cake and eat it too is definitely there. There's also within mid-tier, there is the movement that we've seen across the board for the last probably at least 5 years and maybe even closer to a decade, is the movement from ERP systems and other systems that started with having a paper-based or some electronic capabilities, but moving toward intelligent systems that really can take advantage of industrial IoT, of edge computing, and looking at machine learning and analytics. This has occurred at the very highest levels in Tier 1 enterprise systems. Now there's a strong demand to improve competitive stature is to offer these for mid-tier. So that's another reason why mid-tier is looking to have its own identity, and mid-tier has these needs. Mid-tier companies, and it still could very well be a Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3 supplier. Tier 1 and Tier 2 can still be a mid-tier in some cases. But the idea of having this ability to have a two-tier strategy allows the ability to have all the changes that are occurring, the opportunities that are occurring for predictive capabilities, interoperability, data management, with the digital transformation movement that's been going on, but also to keep it do it quickly and efficiently, and for very much more nimble than could ever be done before.
Well, Ed, this really sounds well thought out. I'm wondering what sort of research is available on this topic?
Sure, Dick. As I mentioned, one of the reasons, not only for this podcast, but also some of our research, is we're going to follow on from a study we did a few years ago about ERP systems overall, and we're looking specifically at this mid-tier market, and included in that is the two-tier ERP strategy, and we're reaching out. We're in the next few weeks we'll be reaching out. We got about 3 dozen such suppliers identified, and there could be more of the vendors who are actively competing in this market, but also who are aspiring to go deeper in it, and also looking for those that incorporate significant degrees of functional coverage in manufacturing. So we're focusing, because there's not much else in the market for the mid-tier market. There's a lot about ERP as a whole, and usually Tier 1. We're looking to really focus on manufacturing, including materials management and management, planning and scheduling systems, shop floor management, manufacturing execution systems, quality management, and execution systems as far as ERP, not specifically MES systems, but also looking at quality management, project management, BI, EAM, analytics, and predictive analytics. So just some areas are part of our questionnaire in our interviews as far as the market, to get more information on these capabilities.
Well, it sounds like you have created some valuable information for the suppliers of ERP. Just wondering, do you have anything planned for end users or owner-operators that might potentially want to take advantage of some of the things you've learned about ERP mid-tier?
Yes, in fact, we're very excited about that, Dick. The studies will include insights across the board, but also can help identify key features and frame selection criteria for end users. And to this point, ARC will be providing a technology and supplier selection guide, as we do with most, if not all, of our studies, that will identify important criteria for users and owner-operators. And this will include criteria that they should consider in selecting ERP solutions for the mid-tier enterprise.
Well, Ed, thank you very much for helping me understand the great deal of information that ARC can provide to both ERP suppliers and end users. And I'm sure those people listening to this have gained a lot of understanding from your description. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dick. And our research ongoing. We'll be following up with more information as it comes in. Thank you. It comes in.